10 years ago, 15 years ago, hardcore, especially in Australia, was like, well, don't get too big for your boots. Don't try and do something too good because you're just like a bunch of little shit cunts. And, and you're like, you just want to be able, you don't want to take over the world. You just want to be able to, you just want to be invited to the party and not get kicked out.
Hello, my name is Lachlan Watt and music is my life. My guest this week is Sam Octigan, a professional visual artist out of Melbourne and vocalist of the hardcore band Iron Mind. After more than a decade since their last album, Iron Mind roared back to the forefront of hardcore with this year's incredible Test of the Iron Mind just back in June. And if you're unfamiliar, here's a quick little taste.
Too many boxes are left behind. Hell has arrived and no one gets out alive. Test of the Iron Mind. Why is there time? Put in the test of the Iron Mind. The world doesn't find peace. A sweet release. A total taste. Can you see your brother's life?
This album is one that immediately left my jaw on the floor. It is absolutely killer from start to finish. Sam is a unique guest on this podcast in the way that we came to know each other, not through music, but through playing Magic the Gathering together on a weekly basis for a couple of years around 2017 and 2019. Sam always had a lot of deep and interesting thoughts to share while our play group threw down cards together, so upon hearing the record, I was very excited to catch up with him, reminisce on the days when we could actually take the time to play card games, talk about his career in art, and dig deep into the band's almost 20-year slow but steady journey to Test of the Iron Mind. This podcast is now 15 episodes deep and the time has just flown by, but if you're enjoying listening to it, I'd absolutely love if you could give it a follow or a share if you haven't yet. Cheers. My name is Lachlan Watt, music is my life, and now I give you my conversation with Sam Octigan. Thanks for having us in your space here, Sam.
No worries, mate. Good to have you.
Where are we exactly? Tell us about this spot.
We're in Hope Street Studios in Brunswick. It's basically artist studios, artist run artist studio space, and so there's multiple artists working out of here. I'm one of them. Yep.
How long have you been doing art in this kind of is this a full-time capacity thing for you?
It's part-time in that the other half of my time at the moment I'm caring for my daughter or looking after my daughter. So part-time work, part-time parent. Well, sorry, full-time parent, but I'm splitting the primary care role with my wife at the moment.
But like otherwise you've been able to maintain a reasonable living off painting for some time now, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for a while in different iterations and variations, but this is the latest as artist and father.
Yeah, right. What projects have you been commissioned for recently? What have you been working on?
The most recent is probably I had a solo exhibition at Backwards Gallery in Melbourne in Collingwood, and that was probably to date my biggest exhibition. In terms of the space that I Backwards is quite a large space. The work that I was making in terms of like scale, it was like the biggest paintings I've done to date, and just the body of work and the amount of people that were through the doors, all of it. It was really, really good. So really satisfying to sort of tick that off. Backwards are great to work with. Byron over there was really helpful and. Just overall, it was a great experience, and mate created all the work in this space, and felt like I really kind of utilized, the size of this space, and just sort of brought everything I'd sort of learned to date to sort of take things to the next level. So really satisfied with how it went.
I know plenty of people who make a living off graphic design, but I think you're the only person I know that would make a living off actual physical paint. It's remarkable.
Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah, and like as you know, it's like for a long time. I mean, I've never been a graphic designer, but I was like an illustrator that incorporated graphic design.
Yeah.
I did a lot of artwork for bands. Like I worked in the music industry, in fashion, streetwear, all that sort of thing. So creating artwork that has a commercial end. I was able to, I was sort of over the years. I basically came to the end of that road and had to choose one or the other, I felt, and I chose to sort of just focus on my own artwork as opposed to creating art for other people or for other ends. I always enjoyed those projects. It's not like you hear some graphic designers grumble about having to, the client that they're not, it's a job. They're not necessarily stoked with what they're working on, but that's part of being a commercial artist. I always focused on like I really want to make. I know what sort of work I want to make, and I know what sort of people I want to make it for, and I'm only going to work on those sorts of projects. So I really loved all the illustration work that I did over the years. But yeah, it's sort of it's almost a whole topic in itself. But for a long time, the way I sort of approached things was, I have this sort of artwork that I want to make. I know that there's commercial outlets for it, like album covers, posters, merch designs, that sort of thing. But it also, I want to see it on gallery walls. I've got my own ideas that I want to get out there, and I'm just kind of going to do it all. And in my head, the way that it was supposed to work was, I do a great album cover and people see that album cover and then get interested in me as an artist and then want to come see my exhibition or something like that. Or they come to an exhibition, they get interested in my painting and then want to know about the bands that I've worked for, and it sort of is all supposed to work together. But what I found was there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many projects you can work on in a year. And I felt like my work is quite labor. It's not super labor intensive, but it's painting. It's using physical mediums. There's really no shortcuts, and there's only so many paintings you can make in a year. And I basically found that to take things to the next level in my, quote unquote career as an artist, I have to choose one or the other. And I felt like with the album covers that I was like, that was what I loved doing the most, album covers. Just felt like I'd done my best work with that medium, and it was time to shift to just being a visual art, primarily a visual artist that exhibits in galleries.
Yeah, so you don't do any commission based work for anything else anymore. It's just all what you want to do, basically.
I do commissions, but for people who I want one of your paintings, Sam. And I basically I do allow for a certain amount of dictation or request. It's like, I'd like a painting this size. I'd really like this color palette. Sam, I like this other painting that you did. I'd like something like this, but that's about as far as I'd go. Whereas when I was doing work for bands, I would encourage band. I'd want to work with a band that had like a strong visual, like a brief, or like they had a concept. Because I wanted to work with a band to, a band who's worked so hard on an album. There's a lot of passion, a lot of energy. I loved collaborating with that passion and energy. So I wanted a band that said, hey, this is the concept. This is what we think. Can you bring this? Can you bring the visual side of it to life for us? And when that relationship's really cooking, it's like it produces great results. And so it's not like I didn't stop working with bands and decide to just do my own paintings because I couldn't stand working for other people or I can't be told what to do. I love that. It was more like, the mature, experience in working as an artist and learning what works and what doesn't, and the economics involved, the time and energy involved, and navigating all those pathways to keep growing as an artist. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I think you would have to be, well, definitely you are the only guest that I haven't had on this pod who I didn't meet directly through music. Like I met you through playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
I guess it was
It's
sort of music in a way. But
diagonal, yeah.
It wasn't a straight line of
Yeah.
like we met at a gig or on tour or something. It was playing cards.
Yeah. But that group, it was all through music.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 6 degrees, yeah.
So you don't play anymore or?
No, like, so I shouldn't say no, like full stop. It's like, I'd love to still play, but as life goes, like I mentioned, I'm a father now, isn't a ton of time, like father of a very soon to be 1-year-old, 11-month-year-old. Not a ton of spare time to be playing cards, but would still love to. Still got the cards in the cupboard, and still like it. I was reflecting on this the other day. Is that Magic? For those who don't know, it's like a collectible card game. Visual art is each card has artwork, which is what originally drew me to the game, and I imagine I want to speak for Lachlan, but I'm sure Lachlan as well.
It was a big part of it.
Big part of it. The way that I joined Lachlan's Magic the Gathering group I think it would have had to have been around 2017.
I think it was 2017, 2018.
Yeah, around then. And that was a period of my life where, man, I was just working. All I was doing was grinding. I was very like, I've never been like a huge like, I've got a network. I've got to meet. But in any creative industry, a lot of it's relationship based.
Yeah.
And I remember reflecting at the time that like literally everything I wasn't allowing myself to do anything that wasn't sort of furthering my artistic career or my artistic practice. So it's like, like my band Iron Mind wasn't playing many shows at the time. I was just painting. I was just hustling. I was just like, going to gallery openings, meeting this person, meeting that person, always looking at the next project. Like, honestly, which I think all artists have to do at a certain point. Like you do have to grind, you do have to hustle, you do have to build something yourself. And I was deep in that space. And then I was on Twitter one day, and I saw a friend, a longtime friend that I know through music, Tom Whalen. He was talking about Magic the Gathering. And I played Magic the Gathering when I was a teenager, like literally 12, 13 years old, loved it, and dead set had not thought about it since. And I was like, Tom's talking about Magic. They can't be talking about Magic Gathering, the card game. It's like, because it is quite nerdy. And like, look, I'm a self-professed proud nerd, so no judgment. But I was like,
looking at the Warhammer boxes up here.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But Tom is a very cool guy, and I was like, he can't be talking about Magic the Gathering.
He's too cool for that.
He's too cool. But he was, and it was like something. And I saw it's like they were talking, about playing, and something in my mind was like. I reached out to him and I said, "Oh, you guys play Magic? Like, what's the deal there?" He's like, "Yeah, man, we play every week. This guy, like everyone plays, man. Like, where have you been?" And it was at that time I was not allowing myself to have any joy, that was like not that was purely just.
It was all the hustle and grind.
Yeah. And I don't want to make it sound like I wasn't miserable or anything like that, but it was all very like serving the career, and I realized it's like, oh man, I would love to just sit down and play Magic, and that would have nothing to do with my work or career, like that would be a hobby. I have not allowed myself to do something like this for a very long time, stopped skating a long time ago. Never been a gamer. Never done, so I didn't have any hobby. Like, don't play sports. I didn't have any hobbies. Didn't join a mixed netball team or anything like that. You know what I mean? And so Magic came along, and that was like a point in my life where, I don't know what you call it, whether it was like a lesson or it was like a shift in my life where it's like I realized it's like, hey,
There's more to it than the grind.
there's more to it than the grind, and you're going to be dead one day, right? Like, there's no end. There is no end to the grind. There's no end to
Capitalism. Like it is.
Yeah. Look.
The
Yeah.
shoot of your professional dreams.
Yeah. Listen. No, you're right. Like, capitalism is a part of it, but it's like creativity. It's like, it's hard. Like, I don't want to go off too random of a rabbit hole, but like, I love, that's the thing. When your passion is your work, there's no end to that, to feeding that. You know what I mean? It never turns off. And I saw Magic as like, no, this is an opportunity to turn off and just do something just for the joy of it, And I really did love those years when we were playing Magic, like week in, week out. It was the commitment that we all had. Like, we all turned up every week.
Every Wednesday night, I think it was.
Yeah, every Wednesday night. There was a community aspect. Everyone was as enthusiastic about it as each other. It wasn't like one person was like trying to talk everyone else into, this game's really great, trust me.
We were all beginners, but you kind of came along as like the veteran in a way. Like, you had some earlier knowledge.
Yeah,
but,
earlier,
but
like,
you weren't being like what you just said. That's for sure.
12-year-old knowledge. Like,
Yeah.
I reckon I lost the most games out of anyone. I was honest. But it's to my point. I wasn't there to like smash people. I was like, I genuinely, I loved the company. I loved, I loved having this outlet that wasn't, it was basically a point in my life where I realized it was okay to stop and, just enjoy something.
Get lost in fantasy land for a bit.
Yeah, just to let yourself do other things. It's probably no coincidence that like a couple of years after that, I met my wife. Had time to focus on things that are a little bit more important than being the most famous, the most celebrated artist that ever lived. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, So I'm at a point now where, and it's like, it's been part of my growth. I think I'm at a point. It's interesting. Like I said, I had that realization that there's more to life than work and accolades and recognition. But like, since I had those epiphanies, it's like I've had more success in my work than ever. So
Just coming naturally.
There's exactly, mate. Letting go, and there's probably a few lessons in that.
It's funny. It's a completely different story, I guess, to how I ended up finding my way to Magic. It was because I stopped drinking. I'd quit drinking for a while, and I've quit drinking again since. Got back on it in the middle years between there, but I just suddenly, when I wasn't, going to like shitty gigs in Fitzroy Collingwood like 4 nights a week just to drink, like it was suddenly I was like, what am I going to do with myself?
Yeah, with my time and my money.
And my money, yeah. So I went and spent thousands of dollars on little pieces of paper instead of bags and fucking beers.
A different kind of addiction.
Yeah.
But I think as well over COVID, it's like I think a lot of people found like childhood hobby, like return to childhood hobbies. There's something wholesome about it.
Yeah, I've got some different mates that I play with probably like once every 6 months or so, and every time I play it, I'm like, fuck, this rules. I need to do this more often, and then I go and do something like start a podcast, and then there's no time to go and play Magic anymore.
Yeah, start a podcast, have a kid. One of those things will soak up your time. I'm looking forward to. I got 2 nephews that are like 11 and 9. I reckon they're pretty close to
getting the hand-me-down decks.
Yeah, getting a mono green deck, and Yeah, and they're pretty cluey, so I reckon my losing streak isn't
continue.
it's going to continue. Yeah, but yeah, mate, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, there's a season for everything, like you said. You know, it's like it's something you can pick up. Like it's always going to be there. And for me, the lesson was like, hey, there'll be other things where you'll, you know, there's never enough time. There's always something else that you want to do. You have to choose. You have to make time for what's important to you. Yeah, and I don't know. Like I reckon there's probably a few people. Like there's a never-ending list of like people that you can look up to and admire and be like, wow, like that. You know, that guy's built such a impressive business and like he's got that and he's got that, but. It's like you wonder, it's like, do those people, do they have that kind of, are they able to allow themselves to have that kind of joy? It's like you only see the success.
You don't see what they're doing in their downtime if they have any or
yeah, what they're not doing or like what they're
missing out on.
What they're missing out on, yeah. And it's like, and it's not a value judgment or it's not a, what do people say, cope, you know, like I'm not, you know, it's like, it's just, yeah, there's a finite amount of time that we've got. And if you want to enjoy playing Magic, if you want to paint Warhammer, if you want to play Call of Duty, it's like, you know.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, exactly. Because one day, you know, yeah, like it's, I mean, it's like, that's sounding corny. It's like, you know, you hear of like, oh, what are the top 5 regrets of elderly on their deathbeds, and they say like they all say I work too much. You know what I mean?
I think one of mine might end up being I wish I painted that Space Marine army.
yeah. But same here, mate. Yeah, it's like I will be guilty. I think of being one of those people that bought a whole bunch of Warhammer in the pandemic and never got around to playing. But we'll see. Like I said, I got a couple of nephews. At some point, they're going to be keen to paint up a few miniatures and got a space here where we can put together a gaming table and.
Yeah, this table is perfect for it's just begging to be covered in some terrain.
That's it, mate. And I got so don't worry, I thought about it, but it's like I do have it's like I said, time is short, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny. You were talking before about how other things are going to always be there, but then you're not going to always have the time for other things, and things come and go. And I remember one of the conversations that we had over a game of Magic all those years ago was about Iron Mind, and I think you were sort of perhaps a little bit frustrated with the way that the band had felt like it had kind of fizzled out a bit and gotten a bit dormant to you, and you had sort of said that perhaps you felt like there was a bit of a fear of failure in going any further with the band because you'd already reached like such a level within hardcore, and you wanted to like push it further, but perhaps not everyone was on the same page, but then you let it go for a while, and it seems like it's come back and has actually been able to go to that next level.
Yeah, I don't remember that conversation. So, but for sure, I would have been at some point chatting about it to you. Yeah, just interesting. Just thinking like relating to that note about If I don't know about if I was ever frustrated with it, but I think something that I've always felt is we did have more to give. You know what I mean? Like there was more there, but it's like forever. Like we're a band. We're always a band that very democratic band, and like everyone's got to be on the same page. And with Iron Mind in those intervening years, it was just that like people had different priorities. And like I've always been like someone like I've always had art. For all of us, the band has never been like our primary drive. We've all had other things. So there was never any pressure on any member to, hey, we want to do this, but you've got to, like it was all, we're all on the same page. But for sure, in those intervening years, I definitely was like, I know that we've, got a bit more to give. Actually, no, you're right. Probably what the concern was like, a hardcore band is typically has a fairly short shelf life, and we'd sort
Yeah.
of had that. We
We
were
had that big moment early on.
yeah, like we'd had our time, you know,
Yeah.
and we were very fortunate that like you know, we hadn't broken up. We were able to play that kind of annual show or that one show every couple of years, and people still cared. So perhaps, you know, like certainly in that time, it definitely didn't feel like, well, we can just come back to a, like it just didn't at that time seem like an option to kind of come back at a full capacity and like create another record. So maybe back then, I was feeling like got more ideas, but not sure if like they'll be able to be utilized. Yeah, but you know, new record, and you know, a few years later, circumstances are such that we were able to sort of figure it out and come back and make this new record. So yeah, feeling very fortunate about that, and yeah, man, it's it's been really good.
Yeah, I think I sort of expressed this to you, but like back when those first couple of records came out, I wasn't necessarily that into like more straight up hardcore at the time, and kind of I think overlooked Iron Mind a little bit. But then this new record, it's just like, it's fucking great, and it's just really like every track is sick, and it's just all killer.
Yeah, thanks, man. And listen, like most people overlooked those first couple of records. You know, we were never the hot band. You know what I mean? Especially when those first couple of records were released. We're kind of more like the little engine that could. You know, we're always humming along. Never like we're always very grateful for whatever attention and whatever opportunities we did get. Like we certainly got opportunities and got like were able to do cool things, but we were never like that flare up hype band where where there was like a moment in time where everyone was like, we were the hot new thing. That you know, it was a real slow burn, which is probably factored into why we were able to
keep going like this.
Keep it going, yeah. But yeah, man, and like I was saying, and I've mentioned to other people, it was kind of like, you know, the first full length Hell Split Wide Open was like that first record that was just full of just passion and no kind of planning, no knowledge, no just youthful hardcore exuberance, just like bang, just do it. Don't even know what is songwriting. It's who knows. We're just doing this. And then the second one, the self-titled, was kind of like, well, we want to push our songwriting abilities, and we want to make an epic record. We want to show people that we're a real band, you know. But we probably we probably pushed things. We probably bit off more than we could chew, you know, and didn't quite have those skills necessary to make that sort of more complex record, you know, with more complex compositions and more kind of more themes and more layers and that sort of thing. And then, in those conversations that we were having over games and Magic was, over the years, we definitely all improved as songwriters, definitely all got ideas. And there's just those, you know, few years away to build up those ideas. And that's what's sort of been poured into this third record.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you weren't one of the hyped bands, which I guess is probably true, but you were one of the few that actually got to make it overseas, and you know, you toured the States with Terror and stuff, so it wasn't like you weren't doing good shit.
No, for sure, and absolutely, but that was like, so we started in like 2007, and like those opportunities didn't come till like 2014, where like a lot of our contemporaries would drop it, you know, and this is, I don't want this to be misinterpreted as like a complaint, because it was, we weren't a super skilled, like none of us, I would say, in Iron Mind were like, you know, super talented. You know, we're just dripping with talent, and we're more like grinders, you know, like working hard. And a lot of like our contemporaries, like great bands like Blackout and Phantoms and Warbrain, I would say that they were like members of those bands were like better players, you know, and so they drop a demo and oh my God, the demo is fucking sick. And then they drop a 7-inch or a full length and it's amazing. And so whereas Iron Mind was more like we were learning on the job, you know, we're just keen to be there and keen to give it a go. And so whereas like those bands would justifiably would get like a sick, you know, international support slot out of the gate year one, whereas it took us quite a few years. So when I say it took us a while, it did. We eventually got there and we had great opportunities, but it was because we stuck at it. I think a lot of similar bands in our position, it's natural for hardcore bands, you know, break up, start another band. You know, break up, start another band, and then that third or fourth band
might be the one that hits.
Exactly. That's the thing. Whereas I think that's probably the differentiating factor with Iron Mind is it's like for a lot of, I mean, the other guys it's the only band that I've done. I haven't done any other bands. And all the other guys have always been committed to Iron Mind as well. They've done other little bands, side projects and that sort of thing, but Iron Mind has sort of always been everyone's focus. And we've just sort of hammered at it and
Yeah, so since being blown away by Test of the Iron Mind, I kind of went back to reappraise the first couple of records, and there's some fucking bangers on there, but I get about 2/3 of the way through and like my mind sort of starts to wandering. What else can I listen to? But it's like Test of the Iron Mind is just every song just feels like it's just dripping with purpose and just flawless execution. And like you obviously really spent a lot of time and energy on figuring all that stuff out, right?
Yeah, appreciate that, mate. And we feel the same way. We feel it's our best record. Like we felt that when we made it. We set out to make like, okay, let me back up. It's like there was those sort of years where we were, in terms of writing, we were dormant. And when we came back to like, when we decided, it's like, hey, I think let's make another record, or we're playing with the idea of making another record. If we're going to do that, it has to be our best stuff. We can't come back with some weak stuff, you know? It wasn't that, it was more like we know we've got in these intervening years, it's like we've all gotten, it's like hardcore is, it's like the building blocks are kind of don't change. It's like it's what you do with them is what is exciting. And over the years, I think that we all love hardcore. You know, it's not like we stopped listening to hardcore or like went and did something else and
you didn't go have your Berlin techno phases or anything.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't get weird glasses and you know. Yeah. Listen, we all have like super varied tastes in music, but we love hardcore and we love the kind of hardcore. We love all kinds of music, all kinds of heavy music. That's also part of it, actually. Like sidebar is when you're younger, I think you're a little bit more insecure about what you like and what you listen to. You're like, no, I'm into hardcore. That's it. Yep. You know. And as you get old, and none of us were ever too on that spectrum, but like certainly as you get older, it's like you realize it's like, no, what makes a great song is sort of transcends genres and like you can get ideas from anywhere. You know, you can get, you know, there's a bang, that Lady Gaga song has a banging chorus, and if you know, borrowed that and put some Hatebreed riffs over it, man, you've got it. And you know, so there was. So
is there any Lady Gaga influence?
Not
on the
Lady
record?
Gaga. Like I, you know, I'm not giving away my source. But in those intervening years, we basically, I think all of us were like, just a better understanding of what makes a great hardcore record, you know? And so we just had that maturity and that experience this time around to just know what's needed, like what it just better ears, you know? It's like that. No, that's a great song. That one, not so great. We also, with this record, I should say, worked with a producer for the first time, which did make a huge difference. We worked with our friend Otis Benny from AWOL, from Broken, and he is exceptional at in that role. He's our mate, so it worked.
Yeah.
It worked really well. But like mate or not, he is really really good as in that producer role.
I always thought that Mike Deslands had some involvement in terms of being a producer. Was that more, just it was his role on the self-titled, just purely engineer?
No, engineer, and I guess it's actually a great question because I would say that he played like a minor producer role, but very informal because at the time, members of Iron Mind, we didn't even know what a producer was. Do you know what I mean? Like we didn't even know that was a thing that you could do. So we entered the studio with 10 finished songs or 11 or however many's on self-titled, ready to record, not even thinking, maybe there's some improvements that an outside party could make to these songs. Like that wasn't how we approached that record. From memory, and it's quite a number of years ago now, Mike definitely was like, maybe this, maybe that, maybe change this, but very, very, very minor things to the point where I wouldn't have said he was a producer on that record. Whereas we went into this
being like, Otis, tear these songs apart and just make them as good as they can.
Yeah, like, and what it was is, again, in those intervening years, we learnt that Terror, Trapped Under Ice, right? That their best records, they worked with producers, and we're like, you can do that, like, and we learnt that, over the arc of the last 20 years, it's like information has become more widely dispersed, and you're able to hear conversations between from your favorite bands of how they made their records, and so that added to the pile of accumulated knowledge of like when we came back to this, it's like we had all this knowledge of how to make a great record. And so we went into the process of like, look, we know how to write Iron Mind songs, like, and we have no shortage. Like the issue will be refining them down. And so we got Otis in, like we did our thing. We wrote like 20 or something songs, got them to, almost finished, and then got Otis in, like you said, to tear them apart. Otis's style isn't tear things apart. He's very like, and this is why he was such a good fit for us. And I think for like any band that he'd work with, he's very like decisive and is able to go, this song is great, but it could be improved here. Like the breakdown is too late. There's not enough tension, or or this song isn't working for this reason. Here is two potential solutions. I think you should go with solution 2. But it's up up to you guys. It's not forceful. Not he's not married to his suggestion. And I do wonder is that because like because he has a relationship with Iron Mind. Like he loves Iron Mind. He grew up listening to Iron Mind. So I wonder how he would go in that role with like a young band,
Band that he doesn't have that rapport with.
Yeah,
might be different. I mean, of course it'd be different.
Yeah, be different, but I still think again, it's like it with Iron Mind, like having someone in that producer role, it with the wrong person, it could have gone so south. But it was magic with Otis. It was really enjoyable, like having that extra not that there's a lot of tension when Iron Mind is in the room writing. There's not, but it's like we're all so stuck in our ways that it's like it's interesting. I'm sort of like thinking on the fly, but it was almost like Otis being there created tons of levity. Like it was all of a sudden we're hanging out and anything's possible sort of thing. Whereas like when we're writing, it's very much everyone's bringing ideas, but like I've got my way of talking to everyone.
A little bit of headbutting in a way, or maybe not necessarily headbutting, but just trying to make space for everyone's idea to be the one that gets to the finish line.
And we all know each other so well, and so it's like, yeah, here comes Sam. He's always doing Sam stuff, and here comes Neil. He's always doing Neil stuff, and here comes Dan, and here comes and so we know it. And here's Josh, and and like it's fine. It's always fine, but we know each other so well. It's like kind of almost like a romantic relationship. It's like, you know, like Otis was like that third party.
Yeah.
You know, like,
He came in and spiced up the marriage.
He spiced it up. No, I'm getting a bit weird, but like it genuinely was like it was just new and different, and like he was just so good, and so it made it fun. It made I'm sure you understand writing when you're getting to that, when you're like 60% of the way through, it does, you can hit a wall.
It can grind you down a bit.
It can grind you down. Otis came in at like that 80%, like we're 80% done, and it was like that lift of energy, and again, Otis is so good. Like all of his ideas were like, oh my God, like that is sick. So it was so exciting week after week to be like,
What's like off the cuff? What's like the main moment that would stand out to you as being like something, a sick moment that Otis is directly responsible for on the record?
like I'm not just saying this. It's like there's so many. There was like every song, just like no, not every song. There was a couple of songs where look, every song he had input on. More Pain was a real kind of like me, Neil, and Otis kind of passing it. Like Neil starts with like these incredible riffs, but like the structure isn't sort of there. And then I make some suggestions about how it could. No, this could actually be the first song. I think if we arrange it, if we make riff 3, riff 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then Otis is like, yeah, actually, I see what Sam's saying, right? And let's fill in the gaps this way. You know what I mean? And More Pain, I think, is maybe a few people have said it's like such a sick way to start a record. It's such a great song, and it's also, I feel like it's maybe like it's when you, like you said, you were looking back at our earlier songs. It's the most like our earlier songs. So it's kind of like the ultimate Iron Mine
I
song.
also noticed like the first song on the start of Hell Split Wide Open. I can't remember what it's called, but there's like that sample at it at the start, and the guy's talking about how he doesn't want there to be any more pain. Soon there'll be no more pain or something. And then on this record, it's like, no, fuck that, more pain.
Yes, bro.
Obviously very intentional.
Yeah, mate. So yes, intentional, but it's like it built. It wasn't like you know,
Hey, I'm going to go reverse the
yeah.
debut.
It was like it was more like we're working on other songs. There was other songs that were potentially going to. Well, actually, we never really done like a breakdown like this or a revision. But I'd say what we were trying to do was intentionally, as a band, we were trying to say what's the best way to open a hardcore record, and therefore also a set. You know, like what's the song that is going to open the record and then also kick off a set with, you know? And like what are great examples? What do you like? Here's these songs. And so we started a couple of songs that were on a slightly different page because there's no rules, you know what I mean? There's all different ways of doing that. And then More Pain kind of came right at the end. And it's like, and like we also all love Bitter End, and Climate of Fear is like one of our, like, you know, the consensus across every member of the band is like that's one of all of our favorite records of all time. And so to have a sample intro into More Pain, and then something else that we were trying to do was like when we went into the writing process, you know, we said this record has to make sense with our other stuff. We can't. If we made a mistake with that second LP, it was like trying to push it too far, too quickly, you know? Like we sort of pleased ourselves too much with that second record. It's like, this is the record that we want to make. And we just didn't have the maturity or the knowledge to be like, well, no, bro, you can't do that too much because you've got an audience, you know? Like people have a relationship with Iron Mind, and this is how
they want out of it.
This is what they want out of it. So this third record has to kind of, it's like meet in the middle. It's got to make sense with those first, you know, with what people know Iron Mind to be, but let's push it in a way that the end result is this is the best Iron Mind record. It's not a because if you just do the former, if you just try and redo your most beloved record, right? Well, you get like Death Magnetic or whatever, and it's like it's not Master of Puppets. It's not better than Master of Puppets, right? You do have to take some risks, but they've got to be calculated. You can't go too crazy and come up with, I don't know, Lulu or some, I don't know. I'm trying to use Metallica as a, but yeah, you can't get too crazy. So that's what we're like. It's like it's got to make sense with our earlier stuff, and that's where the reference and something and in terms of lyrics and themes, something I didn't want to do was like, oh, we're still here, we're still, you know what I mean? Like we're back, we're old.
Iron Mind 2025, bitches. What the fuck is up? Get in the pit.
Yeah, we're old, but we're still no. It's like we want it to make. Obviously, I have thought about it a lot. I have a tendency to overthink things, but it was like, we want to reference the earlier stuff, but we want to do it in a contemporary way. We don't want this to feel like just like here's an old band coming back. We want it to feel like it's Iron Mind, classic Iron Mind, but in a contemporary way. So to long way of answering your question about like, what was a moment that Otis had some impact. It was, I mean, again, it was like all of the songs, all of the suggestions he made had that excited, like, oh wow, we would never have thought of that, wow, I can't believe, and there were simple suggestions, and none of his, there was no like, we've got to take this song back to square one and start from scratch. It stinks, or like we're out of ideas, Otis, you've got to write us a song from scratch. There's nothing like that. It was like they were all small to medium to large suggestions. But they all had a huge impact, and they all had that like, wow,
So is Otis the reason that it ended up becoming a spoken word intro as opposed to a sample?
No. I mean, let me think. I don't want to speak out of turn. No, I have to, like, I can't lie. That's all me. The way the sample and honestly I mentioned this on the Oblivious Maximus podcast, but the way that was the genesis of the sample intro was Hell Split Wide Open as a sample intro, but it's lifted from somewhere. It's actually the Jim Jones, the Jonestown Death Tape, which is young 20 years old. You don't really not super tasteful, but my main gripe with it is that it doesn't really build. There's no tension. There's no crescendo.
Yeah.
It's like it plays and then the band comes in. Like it's great. It's there's definitely worse ways to start a record, but like what I thought is I want like a sample intro that builds.
I'm gonna make my own sample.
Well, and so the first thought was, it was a brief thought. Is like, is there, what's the problem with traditional samples? Like with movies, is like it's never exactly what you want. You know what I mean? Because it's from a movie. It's a sample. All the best ones have been used. And there's always an issue with them where it's like it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't quite make sense to the song. There's like some weird background noise of a gun clicking or a door slamming or something. Excuse me. And it doesn't quite make sense. So what if I wrote the dialogue and kind of made it sound like a sample, and that's where it came from, and. And then in that was like, all right, well, what am I going to say? You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, well, say like I want to basically, the themes of the record, the themes of Iron Mind. What does Iron Mind sort of stand for as a band? What are the things that we've always sung about? What why do people listen to Iron Mind? What do they want to hear from us? And it's like, all right, it's going to be something like anthemic, like a statement, like a. that's where it came from. And I kind of like just sort of sat down and wrote it almost in one go. Because I wanted to test it. I wasn't sure. It's like kind of out there idea to like the singer to
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it done like that before.
yeah, right? Which is it's funny. But it's probably because it's kind of like it's a little out there. So that first, like the demo that I did of it is very, very, very close to what you hear on the record. It kind of just worked. It was one of those pieces of creative magic where it just it's like it just happens. It works. I showed the guys. They were like, "Oh, let's do that." You know, like So feeling good. And it was funny because when I actually got into the studio to record it. Because I just recorded that demo version on a shitty mic plugged into my laptop, when I actually did it into a proper mic, like that was super clean, it sounded too neat. It sounded too like, "Hello, boys and girls," and it wasn't what we wanted. So I had to. There was more playing around in the studio to get that final, the final effect. I probably did like 5 takes, and then we've got it. Yeah.
Is the intro part of the live set? Are you like doing the spoken word, or is
No.
it on a sample pad or anything?
It's on a sample pad. Yeah. So Dan is the sample master, and we've got 2 versions. Great question, mate. You know. You're pretty good at this, you know. Yeah.
Doing it long enough. I hope so.
Yeah. You ever thought about working for a radio station? So I definitely don't do it live. I'll come back to that because that's a funny conversation. But what we've got when we were jamming and getting ready for these recent run of shows, it came up. It's like, hey, what are we going to do with the intro? And there was a bit of discussion about, well, look, it's pretty long to play as a sample. It's like a minute and a half. Is that going to kill the vibe? And basically, what we figured out was, for some shows, it will be appropriate to do the whole thing, lower the lights, create that vibe. Some shows it won't be appropriate.
Like if you're playing in like a youth hall or something, it's going to be a bit weird.
Mate, you nailed it. Exactly. So what we did was we did like a shortened version where we melded it with like a Stanley Kubrick Shining theme song. So it's those dramatic horns, and then the final end of the sample comes in. It sounds sick. When Dan or Neil put it together, it was almost like, oh, we should just do that every time because it's very very Cro-Mags.
Was the live slam poetry version ever on the table?
Nah, never, because someone, poor Neil. There was a in Brisbane, there was an issue with the sample pedal, and we couldn't do it. And in like literally, we're standing on stage about to play, and in a panic, Neil's like, "Oh, Sam, Sam, can you just do it?" I'm like, "Mate, I'm not doing that." Like,
it'd be kind of sick.
Nah, look, I maintain, and listen, you're not like Otis suggested doing it. A few people have said, are you going to do it live? Like Matto, Last Ride Records, he was like, you do it live, yeah? Like, no. Like, I maintain that would be cringe. That would be awkward, as it's a minute and a half, and it's like, it just goes so long. It'd be different if it was short and angry the whole time, but like 60% of it is like it would be weird. That would make people uncomfortable. I mean, it would certainly make me uncomfortable. Yeah. So you will not be seeing the slam poetry is bang on, mate. Like, you're not seeing that. It's sick. Listen, there was some concern that it would be weird, like playing over the PA when I'm standing there.
Yeah.
But
people understand what's going on.
Yeah, no, the vibe is perfect, mate. It's sick. We're all very proud of it. Like, and proud's the wrong word. It's like we're just like, it's just the goal of any hardcore band to have like a sick intro. Sick intro. Like, it's the cornerstone of any hardcore band. So yeah, we feel like we set out to do that, and we fucking did it. So yeah, man.
Yeah. So the shows were all a huge success for the album tour right up until the very end.
Yeah. We won't get into the details of New Zealand, but all our New Zealand homies, we are rescheduling those shows for sure. They're happening. The Australian shows were awesome. Little challenging. We split them up into weekends, right? Because a lot of us got kids now, jobs. We thought what we'll do is we'll do weekend by weekend, you know. Oh, that'll be easy as, you know, like just 2 shows each weekend, 4 consecutive weeks. It was actually like really fucking hard. So you do like one weekend and then go home, no rest, you know, just smash into the week.
Yep.
Do it all again the next week. I reckon it's actually easier doing.
Just being on tour properly.
Yeah, exactly. So
I did a 5-week regional tour last year that was like usually like Thursday to Sunday, and you go home for a couple of days, and it's just kind of throws you out a bit. And you're like, I'm fucked. Like, I'm supposed to be going to work right now, and then got to worry about what's getting sorted out for tour the next week, and then I've got like one day where to put myself back together and then go do it again. And I was like, it's just kind of annoying. I'd rather just fucking smash it all out in one go.
100%. Listen, we don't have that flexibility anymore.
Yeah.
But what I think it is, I think your body like climatizes to it. Your body goes, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, right?
We're not going to get much sleep. We're going to be uncomfortable half the day.
And we're going to kill ourselves on stage as vocalists, right? But when you're yo-yoing and doing that for 2 days and then going home and your body's like, oh, okay, it's over. And then you do it again. I found, well, the thing that I don't know is it's like, have I just gotten older? You know, is my body like, as a 41-year-old man not supposed to be doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with this much intensity, I've never had a vocal coach. I've never like looked into, you know, is there things you can do to train, you know what I mean? Like I've never I've just done it, you know what I mean? And so I've been playing around with the idea of like, what would it look like if I actually got some sort of training? I can't think of, outside of actually getting into a jam room and running through the set, I can't really think of how you would physically prepare yourself, you know, to do a run of shows. So I don't know, just something I've been thinking about lately is it's like, well, I want to, I definitely, you know, because, you know, that's Iron Mind Sing. Our live set is like really is energetic, right? I'd never want to go backwards on that, you know, and have to pull it back or do a kind of a, you know, a less energetic version of it. I want to, if anything, I want to get better. Like I want to, you know.
I think I was telling you about the last episode of the pod with I did with my vocal coach that I have only really seen in little drips and drabs every five or so years. But just as I'm getting older, I'm finding that, well, I've recently learned, I suppose, that I can't maintain my vocals at the level that I was able to maintain them for just by not even really trying, just by doing it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now that I'm getting older, it's like my diaphragm has become a little bit more disengaged because I think I've spent too much time just kind of hunched over a desk doing all this kind of shit. And it's like, I actually have to put some work in physically to try and get my diaphragm back in shape a little bit more if I want to keep doing this as I'm moving into my 40s in the next few years. So
man. Yeah. So
I think there's a lot to be gained from getting a bit of advice here and there if you feel like you need it.
Yeah. No, it's, so we're on the completely same page then. Like I said, it's like I've never, because I like my vocals, it's like I'm not screaming, I'm not using my, like I've never lost my voice. Like I've never lost my voice before, you know what I mean? It's like, it's more my, diaphragm, abdomen, the rest of my body that feels it. So it's really just been like a physical thing. But what I found is, like with these last run of shows, it was like, whereas in the past, man, I'd play 2 shows, feel amazing afterwards because it's like an intense workout. And then after a good night's sleep, it's like I could run through a brick wall. But it was like this time around, I was like struggling. I was struggling at home. So especially by like week 3. So, like having said that, it's like I looked at some footage from some of our shows and it's like, we look sick. So it's all good.
You wouldn't be able to tell that, you're feeling a little bit lesser or anything by watching it.
It's more my, I've been reflecting on this, right? It's more my personal enjoyment. It's like, I love the feeling of like getting into, it's almost like for me, it's almost like a flow state, right? There's some shows, right? And part of this is, I think if we were touring full time, right? Like 80% of the sets would feel like this because
you're just on.
You're so present. You're so not in your head. Whereas when you play one show a year or like a handful of shows, and you're headlining and you've got a new record and like it's been a while and there's all these new kids at the show, it's like you want to do your best and you psych yourself. Sometimes you get that adrenaline dump, you psych yourself out. And for me, a couple of the sets, I really felt like I was in quicksand. I really felt like I was, I'm not quite on it. I'm not like, where then other sets, and this has always been the case for me, there's just certain sets where it's like I'm like grease lightning. Like I'm like nothing can stop me. Like I've energy isn't a concept. It's like I've got endless, like I can jump and kick and like I'm going, and I've got everyone's eating out of my hand and I'm like, I'm God in those moments. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, I enjoy that feeling of like, like I performed my best and like I also felt great on stage. But when you feel sluggish and tired and you're struggling to get through it, it's not as enjoyable, and it's like, thankfully it's like, been able to maintain it to where, it's, I know that it's coming across well. We're given a good set. Everyone's having a great time. It's more for my enjoyment, that feel of being able to hit that. And again, I think it comes back to, it's like, I think I just got to get in better shape. And like, I don't think you can, I know this, you can't just go for a run. You can't just run. You can't just lift weights. It's like, it's a very different kind of physical exertion. So
I've got this whole new regimen of like Wim Hof breathing stuff and like leg crunches and things that I'm meant to be doing every day. To try and fully get my abdomen and diaphragm pumping again. So
your vocal coach put you onto those?
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, I might have to get some details afterwards. Because it's like, that's the other thing. It's like 10 years ago, I would never have thought of seeking out knowledge, but it's like, fucking makes sense, right? Like, it's like
as she said, she's like any professional athlete, like has a coach. Yeah.
Ben Cook from No Warning tweeted once. He goes, "I'm never touring with No Warning again. Being a vocalist of a hardcore band is an extreme sport." And I just like laugh, man. It's just like, that's so fucking true. It's crazy, It is crazy. So but again, it's like, I genuinely feel like I got my best shows ahead of me. Like, like I just feel, I think.
Yeah, it feels like the band's had a bit of a rebirth, like a new dawn.
Yeah, it's interesting, because we literally haven't got together since the last little weekend of shows, we haven't like we've all been in the group text. We're all genuinely feeling like we knew, like when we made this record, we knew we'd done it in terms of we wanted to make this is the best Iron Man record. Like we are so happy with this record personally. You never know how people are going to receive it though. And when we're okay with whatever happens, like we're old enough and mature enough to know that like, if people aren't feeling it, well then that's that's okay. Like that's, we're not entitled to anything. We're lucky to still be able to just make it and put it out. But the response has been, I'd say, universally. People are, feeling the way that you feel about it. They see what we put into it. People are responding to. They see each track has its place. They see the intro. They see the way it flows. People are responding to it.
Yeah, I can't remember like the last time I listened to a brand new hardcore record, and within like the first 30 seconds, I was just like hooked on just the vibe and just the fact that I'd heard something fresh that felt kind of, wouldn't say experimental, but it was exciting to kind of just hear something a little bit different for a band of Iron Mind's sound. It's not really a typical kind of thing that you'd expect to hear something different,
Yeah, I think that comes down to maturity is the wrong word, but it's just time. And like with anything, it's like time in the game. If you stick at something long enough, you'll just get good at it. And Iron Mind is an interesting band. Like I said, how we had a slow start, we kept at it. We always had something, and we just kept at it. And we found ourselves in this spot where we had the opportunity to make this record. I was talking to Josh from Speed, because I think Speed are also doing something, obviously doing something very exciting. And we were saying how, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, hardcore, especially in Australia, was like, well, don't get too big for your boots. Don't try and do something too good, because you're just like a bunch of little shit cunts. And, and you're like, you just want to be able, you don't want to take over the world. You just want to be able to, you just want to be invited to the party and not get kicked out. So don't strive to, and what Josh and I were reflecting on is, I think today, hardcore scene in Australia and in the world and in general, people are much more open-minded, and there's less fear of backlash, less fear of like people shit. It's like people are still going to shit talk, but it's just not like it was. And I feel like we have the freedom to try and do something really good. It's like I'll say that I don't speak for the whole band. I just speak for myself. But I think that Iron Mind 10 years ago was just, just didn't have the confidence, to try and do something. Like I said, with the self-titled record, we did try and push it and did try and, make it an interesting record. But I don't know. I think we just got more confidence, and that which only purely came with age. It's not that arrogant confidence of a 20-year-old who's had the world handed to him. It's the confidence of 5 guys who've been doing it for a long time. And I think we just knew we had this record in us, and it's there's a lot of things lining up, and we're stoked that people are responding to it the way they are.
So is it you're gonna keep it to just the bits and pieces here and there vibe, or are you gonna maybe try and kind of do it a little bit like Speed are doing and hit it up overseas for a while? Or
well, we're certainly not going to be able to do it the way Speed do it, like hammer and tongs. We all got jobs, creative careers, families, kids, all that sort of thing. I will say that we're definitely like, shout out Flat Spot Records. We've got a US label behind us. So there is opportunities to go overseas. We'll just have to sort of see. We're all like, we haven't really even had time to sort of sit down and really kind of say, well, what do we want to get out of this? What could we do? Certainly the response to the record has got us kind of wondering about that.
If this record had come out 10 years ago, you'd be like, boom, we're going to fucking Europe and we're going to go on tour. Like, if the response had been like that for an earlier record, like the band would have really taken off big time, I'd say.
that's the thing, mate. It's like, yeah, it's an interesting question because we like with that last record, we did get to go to the US.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that Iron Mind, we've never been a band that's like, we've got to make this our full-time thing.
You've never set out for it to be a world
Nah.
domination kind of thing.
Nah, we never had that confidence, you know?
Yeah.
We were never like, we're just happy to get
Play
the
some
support
shows
slot.
and,
Oh
yeah.
my God, if we could support Terror, that would, and we did that. And we're
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, there's nothing else.
Pack it up now, boys. We're done.
Not pack it up, but like, yeah, it is an interesting thing to reflect on, and just I think hardcore at the moment, it's like, you know, everyone can see it. It's like it's
booming.
It's booming. It's booming. It's having its moment. Kind of like I've always said, it's kind of like when Parkway Drive dropped Killing with a Smile, you know, and metalcore was like, you know, wasn't just the weirdos and freaks that were into it. It's like people are starting to go, oh, this is actually kind of sick, you know, and then there's more interest and it's exciting. And then there's all these new bands that pop up, you know, that like want to be like Parkway Drive, or today want to be like Speed, you know, or just are inspired by Speed, which creates like an environment where there's more shows, there's more excitement. Yeah. So, look, we feel like really privileged and lucky to be able to do it part-time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We feel like, you know, like not everyone gets that. Like a lot of bands, they break up, or, you know, or they're not mates anymore, they fall out, or whatever happens, you know. The fact that we've, you know,
Managed to keep the same lineup together for this long is pretty crazy.
Exactly. And we want to maintain that.
Yeah.
So we're not. Every decision is like, how's everyone feeling? You know, there's no like, no one is like, oh, well, we gotta take the world by storm now. You know what I mean? It's like I said, everyone's got jobs, everyone's got kids, and what's most important is that I should say, another like great thing about Iron Mind is that I get out of it, and I know the boys do too, is that it really does feel like we did it together. You know what I mean? It's like I never played like a team sport, but I imagine it's sort of what it feels like to win like the premiership as a football team or something. You know, it's like, boys, we fucking did it. Like this is, you know, and we get to have these experiences. We get to share these experiences together. Like it's like a triumph that, like, as a visual artist, it's like I don't get that. It's like I'm a solo artist. It's just me. It's, you know, which you know, in its own way is great. But I get a lot out of like this record. Like it is a great hardcore. Like this is a great hardcore record, and like I would not have been able to make it.
Yeah.
Without these guys, you know, this is absolutely a team effort. Like this, like you said, this lineup, this is Iron Mind. You know what I mean? And I feel like I feel very lucky that I get to have that, because it's not an easy thing. It's bands like, you know, man, it's like bands are, it's actually insane that any band lasts longer than 5 years, especially when there's no cash involved. And even when there is cash involved,
Sometimes
it's like,
if there's cash involved, it gets more complicated.
bro, exactly. And so Iron Mind has never had any cash. And so I think that that's part of why, like, we all do it because, like, there's nothing sicker than ripping a set and everyone is going crazy. Like, that's all we do it for. Is like that the carrot is maybe next time there'll be a few more people moshing, you know, like that, and that's it. And it's like, yeah, man, that's a big part of what's kept us going. Is we love it, basically, you know, and yeah, we don't all sit down and say kumbaya after every jam, you know, but it's like there is that
It's the mateship.
The mateship and the maturity after X amount. It's like, it's not this, man, when you start, it's like you're not thinking about those sorts of things. You're like, I want to play shows. I don't even know why I want to play shows. You know what I mean? Like you don't, like, why are we even drawn to this sort of music and this it's hard to put your finger on. And I think it is interesting, to reflect, like 20 years in the game, and it's like we're able to, it's all related, we're able to make this great record because we've grown up as people and know how to treat each other with respect and and we value each other, whereas if we were 20 years old, it's more common for like hardcore bands to hit a few speed bumps, have a blue, and then break up, or half the members leave, or whatever. And like that's very normal, and I think like it's understandable. You know what I mean? So again,
it's like catching lightning in a bottle, I guess.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
yeah. And so you don't think about it when you're just like a little engine that could like we're just Iron Mind, But like I stop and think about it, and I'm like,
well, look how far it's come.
Fuck, man. Yeah, lucky. Very, we didn't plan it like this. You know what I mean? And it definitely could have gone. It's normal and healthy for a hardcore band to break up. It's like that's how it's youth music.
It's usually like you get that moment of your life over and people move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and that's fine and normal and healthy. And so like, long way of saying, it's like I feel very fortunate to still be able to do it. Yeah, and to have this record out, to still be playing these shows.
So is that kind of reflected in the name of the record in some way, like being the test of the Iron Mind?
Yeah. So the Iron Mind, that's the band's called Iron Mind. There's a song on our 2008 EP, The Iron Mind, which was very much like, this is how I feel. Someone hurt my feelings and I need an Iron Mind to deal with it. I'm being a little bit facetious, but that's like, that's generally the thrust of the of those lyrics. And like we still play that song. We love that song. Like everyone loves that song. With this record, like I said, wanted to reference those earlier songs, but didn't want it to just be like, and I've still got an Iron Mind. It's like, so Test of the Iron Mind is like, it's life, right? Life is going to put you through the ringer. We've been a band for 20 years. We don't have any answers for you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sitting up here preaching saying you've got to do this, you've got to do that to get out of your to solve your problems, to solve your mental health issues. You've got to just do this. It's like, nah, bro. I don't have. It's been 20 years. I'm still dealing with the same stuff. Life will put the test is life, right? And we're all going to be tested. And Iron Mind is just an expression of that when we don't have answers. And I went to quite a bit of effort to like, not like, to make sure none of the songs were like preachy. None of the songs were like, listen to me because I'm older now. It's more just like, don't have any answers, but
here's my insights.
Here's my insights. And one of the insights is, life doesn't get any easier, but with time we can develop skills to deal with them. The skills that we didn't have 20 years ago. When I wrote it wasn't quite 20 years ago, but when we wrote The Iron Mind, the song, didn't have any of those skills. Today, got a few skills. Like the problems aren't going away. Life is the test. If you get an Iron Mind, right? If you whatever that is, like it'll be tested.
Is terrified about becoming a father?
Yeah, it's about becoming a father, and it's also just it's about growing older, and I guess it's a fairly personal song, but it's also written like with the way I sort of go about writing songs is I want to have people be able to put themselves, like I want people to be able to place themselves in my shoes, and so I write them. I sometimes write in my mind from the perspective of other people. So it's not just me. It's not just me. Excuse me. It's what I feel like perhaps a few people my age are going through, which is becoming a father, but then also having to look after your father, because we're becoming dads later, and sort of feeling the burden of, like I'm older, I'm becoming a dad. I don't have any answers. You know what I mean? I still feel like a kid myself, and but here I am, and I'm feeling the shift of responsibility of my pet. Like, I feel like I'm having to parent my parents now, which I know a lot of people my age are feeling like, and I don't mean like that in a it's more just like that shift of power like happens, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna have to kind of step in here, and you guys all right? Like, I'm starting to worry about you guys as opposed to you guys worrying about me. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm a dad, and so
it's just this multi-generational thing.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure someone somewhere has given it a name or whatever. You know what I mean? The sandwich generation or like whatever. But yeah, that's what that song's about. It's just about life happened to you, and life happening to you, and it doesn't slow down. Yeah.
Well, that is a pretty poetic way, I think, to wrap things up. Unless you have anything else that you want to shout out or put out there before we hit stop.
Nah, man, that's good. I reckon that was a great chat, man, and I think we covered a lot of it. So yeah, happy to leave it there.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for having me in here today, Sam. I appreciate it.
No, of course, mate. Thanks for coming.
Anytime. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Music Is My Life. This podcast is self-produced by me, Lachlan Watt. I'd like to thank Audio-Technica Australia for providing the high-quality equipment that has made this possible, as well as Patrick Galvin at Hollowbone Studio for the design. The killer theme music that you are currently hearing was written by the legends TJ Cowgill and Sam Saljuki. Catch you in the next episode.